It's time to talk about patch preview again. So yesterday we talked about the preview. Today we have actual numbers. Is it going to be a good patch? Is it going to be a bad patch? 14.14 comes with Aurora and Swarm, get hype. Both of these projects have been labors of love. Each of the pods working on these projects poured their heart and soul into them. Okay, cool. Absorb Life. We're moving a lot of the power budget from this rune out in the early game and into the later portions of the game with non-linear scaling. We're moving it further to compete with Triumph in the mid to late game, especially if you're split pushing. Not proccing Triumph versus team fighting, proccing Triumph. Okay. Warmog. We're moving Warmogs to be harder to trigger as first item without having innate HP in your kit. It's intended to hit supports but be unchanged for second item use cases. ASOL adjustments this patch are aimed at reducing the impact of his tap Q and compensating with power elsewhere. We'll be monitoring the impact of this and how it affects his MMR's Q. Melia has a lot of power budget in being reactive as his tools to be proactive are mainly gated behind certain champion pairings. We're moving more power budget out of his E and into his Q. AP junglers. We're continuing to get champions in a good spot after adding Fated Ashes that allows more AP champions to jungle and increase jungle diversity. Our philosophy with adding these items is to get systems in the right place first and then adjust the champs. When we add an item that systematically buffs these champions, it's intended to be good on those champs and in some cases becomes their primary item. We don't intend to make that item weak, so we will get the item in the right spot and then adjust the champs. Nerfs this patch are mainly targeted at continuing to get these champions in the right spot. Lilia, Nidalee, and Zara will incur some short-term instability to overall increase the health and diversity of the role. By the way, Nidalee doesn't even buy Fated Ashes, so I don't get what he means by this. Corki Trist. Corki Trist will be hit by Absorb Life nerfs. Our changes dispatched for Trist are aimed by giving her Q push a real cost, which typically will impact mid more than bot, as Tristana rarely gets priority in bot lane compared to mid lane. Okay, this is complete false. This is complete false. Tristana needs to use Q just as much on bot lane as he does on mid lane. This is me when I lie. Trist's presence coming down would naturally also reduce Corki's presence. I don't really see how that works. No, this is not true. Corki is not being played simply because you pick it into Tristana. It's being played just because it's strong, not because Tristana is the meta. This is also incorrect. While there are no boot changes in this patch, we'll be considering what to do with them and hopefully have something out soon for them. Okay, so it's talking about Mercs and Tabe nerfs, thank God. Hopefully next patch, XD. Corki high armor is intended to be more useful in bot lane and especially when Chi's priority is reduced. Reducing his base health will make him more susceptible to all-ins in mid lane. Velvet Kindred. Velvet and Kindred are two elite skewed junglers that we bring down a little dispatch. For Velvet, we're reducing her ability to outrange other melees outside her R form. Jayzad and Aurelia. A few AD solo laners that we're looking to get back into the meta, especially with the advent of AP junglers. As mentioned yesterday, we're looking to add a little bit of skill skew back to Zed and early game pressure with a rank Q buff. For Aurelia, while this looks like a heavy nerf on paper, making her passive attack speed linearly scale with level rather than being breakpoint is a pretty decent buff. We're intending to make her more threatening on the wave. We moved her away from being strong in early game over time and that's weakened her identity. ADC's meta is pretty reasonable right now with many different ones being viable. Aphelios and Smolder are mostly absent though, so we're giving them a little touch up. Okay, so overall, I'm kind of not happy because honestly, it would be so much better to, bring back mages back on mid lane to a good spot and finally, make junglers not only be about AP. However, I don't really see this changing much. Okay, so let's read the numbers. So Aphelios Q damage is going up by 30. Binding Eclipse. Honestly, I don't know what I'm reading. Like, what is Binding Eclipse? Is this the green Q? 31, 35, 125. I mean, okay, the base numbers are going up pretty well, I guess. So a bit of a bigger buff to solo lane Aphelios, right? He gets the points faster. But in any case, okay, decent buff. Gravitum Q, that's Gravitum Q. And that's, I guess, the Senshi. And what is Onslaught? I think that's like Red Q. I don't know. Yeah, okay, sure, whatever. Nice, I guess. Placebo buff for Aphelios. So Cho, I really love this champion. I'm such a huge Cho'Gath fan, but... So the problem with Cho is that he has such an outdated kit where players, because they move well, because they click better in League of Legends these days, and because there's so much mobility and tools in the game, Cho'Gath just has a hard time landing his spells, which ultimately just breaks him as a champion. He's basically so easy to kite, kind of like Nasus, but Nasus has such a strong wither, while Cho'Gath has kind of nothing, right? So the only real way to keep Cho'Gath floating in the game is to just buff his numbers up and up and up each year. Like Cho Q used to be 300 base damage at max rank. 3 years later, we are 340 now. Yeah, okay. So Q damage going up makes Shogat max Q even more. So he's even more incentives to max Q in every matchup now, and then E damage also going up makes E max also better. Recently, I've noticed that Riot is always buffing Q or E on Shogat and never W. So I feel like W is, yeah, they just don't want you to max W, which I think is fair. I think Q and E are probably like better spells to max, whatever. Yeah, Q, I mean, I just like this doesn't do anything to Cho. Cho is an low MMR Q champion. This is only going to be played in bronze, silver, gold. You know, maybe people are gonna play Tank Cho if it's gonna be this. I don't even know if this is gonna be 1% win rate, but in any case, like, yeah, same issues, same champion, same kit, same issues appear on the champion. Doesn't matter how much numbers you buff, unless they're too big, which they're not. Jay's range Q damage goes up by 5 at first rank and 5 at late game rank, and then 5% bonus AD ratio as well. Okay, Jay's range Q is doing more damage. Kind of weird to me that they're buffing range Q when we all know the shock blast of Jay's randomly nukes squishy champions for half HP in mid game. I don't know, kind of weird buff if you ask me. Sion, W damage, yeah, they kind of failed the typo here, so I don't know exactly how much W damage Sion is getting. But only the damage part is being buffed on W, right? So if you break the shield, the spell is basically the same. I think this is like fine, but again, this is not this. I doubt this is even gonna be 1% win rate. So you know, no point playing Sion in the next patch. These are just such placebo buffs. Smolder actually gets a pretty good buff though. Q damage up by 5. This is an ability he uses constantly. Ability he basically plays his whole kit around. This is huge for every elo. Yeah, I mean, this is a pretty good buff. Teemo, passive removes 0.25 of variance and stealth timing to 0.125 faster stealth. So again, Teemo kind of like Cho'Gath, kind of outdated kit, so they make these abilities that have been in the game for God knows how long, you know, work way faster, work better. So I guess his stealth is now just even faster, which is, yeah, whatever, who cares. And then, okay, Zat. Kind of hate these Zat buffs. I think they're in a really weird direction. So his Q damage is going up. Zat Q has a very aggressive AD scale, so this ability does a lot more damage than you might think. This is not 80 damage rank 1, it's usually like 100. It's really weird to me to buff base damage on Zat. I truly think Zat should not be getting base damage buffs. Instead, he should be getting gold scaling buffs, okay? So we should be buffing ratios on him if you want him to more damage. So Zat players who snowball are stronger, and Zat players who don't snowball don't randomly just get rewarded. I think this is such a stupid way to buff a character. Like, this just makes him even more stat check than before, and it even further incentivizes degenerate gameplay of Zat and Kiana, which is sit on their tower, only get XP, don't care about gold, and then hit like level 7 with Serrated Dirk and one-shot someone. Era found going up by 1 second, okay. Well, this only like applies or matters if you have enough energy, right, to like keep going into a fight. So again, when you look at this buff section, most of these buffs don't do anything. This is why there's just placebo changes all over the place. So now we have nerfs. Velvet attack range goes down by 25, but the R bonus attack range goes up by 25. I truly don't think this does much to Velvet. In fact, I just like, from my experience playing with Velvet, her ult form is almost always active. Almost always. So I don't know. Weird. I truly don't think this buff is gonna impact, nerf is gonna impact Velvet a lot. Then we have Brand. They keep nerfing Brand's E, which is basically his most unskilled skill. His worst, yeah, no unskilled skill. Okay, cool. Good way to nerf Brand. 5 damage of E. Again, going for very slight nerfs. They're really conservative when it comes to Brand nerfs. And then E cooldown going up by 1 second. So okay, reduces his clear speed a bit. Reduces lane Brand as well. I think, yeah. Also, okay, yeah, this Velvet attack range, I mean, before level 6, this is a big nerf, to be honest, right? Sure. Fuck, I queued up too fast. I can't accept it yet. I might not be in time. Yeah, they're just very light in this Brand nerfs, but okay, sure. I mean, I still think this impacts Brand lane more than Brand jungle, but here we are. So Corki, 30 health of base health. Okay, this is a nerf. Does it make Corki disappear? I don't think so. I don't think so. This nerf is primarily impactful in early game. There's some matchups where this nerf is gonna stink on Corki, like, I don't know, Syndra Corki matchup, for sure Corki really likes 30 HP in this matchup. But there's also matchups where Corki can easily survive the first 10 levels and then he's fine. I don't expect Corki to fall off for sure. Like, to me, this just doesn't seem enough. Corki still has the same wave clear. Corki still has the same damage. Corki is still the same champion throughout the game. Now, okay, Absorb Life being nerfed, that's of course a bit of a Corki nerf. And then if Fleet gets nerfed, which is not in this patch, the champion will get further nerfed at some point. But yeah, I still think Corki is probably going to be played. I don't really see how this is enough. Jax, 2 seconds added on E cooldown. I think this is fair. E is definitely an ability that Jax uses really a lot in lane. I kind of see this as a fair thing. Like, once he's level 13, he's unchanged, and you want to max E second. Okay, Kindred, Q attack speed up, down by 5, and Q AD ratio down by 0.1. Okay. Placebo nerfs. Lilia multi-champion healing goes from 33% each, maximum 232, to 15% each. Okay, so Lilia is going to be healing less in team fights when hitting multiple champions. Fair. Nidalee, RW damage down by 5 to 15, and then a random AD scale being added. RE damage is down by 10. Yeah, down by 10. Honestly, I truly think these are pretty good Nidalee nerfs. They were bigger on PB. They kind of went lower on them. Yeah, base damage nerfs on Nidalee. I think this is fair. Yeah, just damage nerfs. Rumble Q damage. Goes down by 8. Yeah, so he loses 45 damage of rank 1 Q. So Rumble basically is going to be heavily nerfed for the first 5 levels of lane. Once he gets to level 7 and 9, he's going to be fine. At level 9, he's going to be the same champion. Minion mod damage is going up though. So they're trying to, minion execute is improved. So they're trying to not nerf his wave clear. They're trying to retain his wave clear, but as a trade-off, they're trying to make him not lane bully people first 5 levels. So Rumble is going to be, just slightly less worse in lane first 5 levels, and then he's going to be fine. I honestly think this is a good nerf, right? Because Rumble is a stupid stat tracker in early levels, so this is fine. Rumble has an issue scaling anyway, and it's his biggest weakness is anyway biggest strength of Rumble is anyway this early game bullying, and then they're kind of removing that, so this is good. So here we have the big Tristana nerf. Base mana goes up by 100. Q now costs a 50 mana, and W costs 10 mana less. Let me tell you something. I do not believe that Tristana is gone. I do not. This is a nerf, especially with Absorb Life being nerfed as well. She's probably going to have to take Presence of Mind. She's going to have to adapt her gameplay a little bit, which good players are good at. Yes, Q costing mana is a big deal. Tristana right now is on the edge of being fine with mana because she doesn't play Presence of Mind. Now she's for sure going to be forced to play Presence. Or maybe by Essence River. Probably not though. However, this is not enough to make Tristana disappear. She's still a good early game champion. She's still a scaling menace. This doesn't really change anything. And what this primarily does is it nerfs Navori build, because with Navori in your build, you spam a lot of Q and E. Now, Tristana is kind of more incentivized to buy PD. That's how I see it. But in any case, this Tristana nerf is not enough. Maybe some other mages are going to take priority over her. But she's still a very solid AD mid that you pair with AP junglers. I need to drink, holy moly. And then for Corki, I still think the same. Like, yeah, weaker laning phase, but if you have a good enough matchup or if you can survive early game, I don't see why players wouldn't pick these champions. So again, Riot is doing the classic strategy. Instead of like actually putting good nerfs to champions and then buffing them slowly back up if they're too weak, they always go for these like minus 1% win rate nerfs. Zarya plant damage goes down. Monster bonus damage goes down. So they're nerfing. I don't know why they're nerfing lane Zarya. Sure, she's strong as a support in low elo, but that's about it. So it's really weird for me that they're nerfing lane Zarya and not just jungle Zarya. That's really weird. Okay, so then Aurelion Sol already went over them. Overall, I think these are elite skewed nerfs, even though they're adding some W range, and even though they're making E less mana, and even though they're making R a little bit more damage. The fact that you can't tap Q anymore, and 380 doesn't really matter that much on ASOL. So I truly think these are overall elite skewed nerfs for ASOL. In lower MMR, ASOL is still going to be totally fine champion, if not even better maybe. Probably even better in low MMR, because low MMR players don't really use these mechanics. Then for Hecarim, I already talked about it, but again, they're trying to basically make Hecarim worse in high elo and better in low elo. It's still buffs for Hecarim in any elo, but yeah, these are bigger buffs in low elo, but in any case, yeah, Hecarim might be pretty good. Honestly, I think Hecarim's a bit underrated after this. Then we have Aurelia. Passive attack speed is 7 to 25 linear from level 1 to 18, so she's getting a lot more attack speed via passive. AD per level is going to go actually down, and then the R cooldown is going to go down. So basically what Riot is trying to do is they're going to try to make Aurelia more elite skilled. Because Aurelia in high MMR keeps her passive stacks up way better than low MMR players. So R and AD per growth are getting nerfed, but the R nerf does not really affect good Aurelia players. The AD nerf sucks, but they're getting a lot more attack speed via passive, which good players are abusing this attack speed from passive way more, and they upkeep the passive way more. So yeah, this is what they're trying to do with these changes. Milio, I think I went over them already at some point, so just watch that, I guess. I kind of forgot what they do in CBA reading. And then we have Absorb Life, nerfed levels 1 to 12, and buffed at levels 13 to 18. So yes, this is a big nerf to the rune, definitely. A lot of champions are going to take Triumph for Presence of Mind. However, if your champion does not use Presence of Mind of Triumph, you're still taking Absorb Life, it's still some free sustain in lane. This is a good nerf, yes. And Absorb Life went from Elite Skilled Rune, because Tiasync, to probably low elo skilled rune. So this rune is absolutely broken for low MMR players, because the games go so long and you're bigger level when when the game goes long. And then Warmog, as I predicted, they went for the HP threshold. So Warmog is 200 more threshold on the HP. So if you're support champion now, you have to buy Warmog plus Ruby Crystal. So I think what might happen is there's a chance people just buy Locket instead first item and maybe Warmog second item. Or maybe they just basically keep buying Warmog, but they just buy a Ruby Crystal after Warmog to get a passive. That's what I think is gonna happen. But yeah. Okay, well, not enough to nerf Corki Tristana. I just don't think this is enough. They just went super light as usual. This is just how Riot does it. That's the patch. You can tap Q and ASL, it costs mana, no? Yes, it's not going to be worth a tap Q anymore, is what I'm saying. You do it once in a while to proc runes, and that's about it. Because you're going to run too fast as ASL. So ASL lost the ability to lane in high elo. Do you understand? Tap Q in high elo is used to make this champion work in early levels of laning phase. You will not be able to tap Q anymore, nearly as much anymore, which means that laning phase as ASL in so many matchups will get completely unplayable in high elo. Again, I don't like what Riot did, because ASL is already a good low elo champion and a bad high elo champion. What Riot just did is make him even better in low elo and even worse in high elo. And I don't see why they would do that. I think it's questionable.